Thank you. Well, thank you. Thank you guys for joining us. This is the second quarter of the MDHI DPAL meeting. And for those of you that may be new, this is just a time for us to get all of our leads at the agencies together to go over some common information that we'd like to share, to have you guys an opportunity to also ask some questions for us and or your peers that are on this call. And like I said, we try to have these quarterly at least. Sometimes during the holidays we will skip, but if we do that, we try to send out a newsletter. So just some general housekeeping. If you can please mute yourself. If you have questions, if you can put them in the chat, and we'll try to answer them as we go along. But then we'll also leave time at the end for anybody to ask any questions, and we can unmute you or have you unmute if we need any follow up or ask at that time. Just a brief overview of some of the topics we're going to go over today. We'll just the general welcome. We'll have Matt and John do some updates on data stuff. We'll have Jazz do her training spiel, and then we'll pass it over to Stacia and Bashira for just some DPAL updates. And then Matt will kind of wrap us up with a one home coordinated entry update. And then, like I said, we'll have time at the end for questions and answers. Next slide. So if you guys were at our DPAL meeting last quarter, I alluded to us having a new teammate, but this is her first meeting. So I just want to officially welcome Bashira to our team. She joined us in April, and she is working along Stacia as our partner agency coordinator. So I'm just going to have Bashira do a real quick introduction of herself.
Hello, I'm Bashira. As Kyla said, the new partner agency coordinator working alongside Stacia. If you've submitted a ticket to the help desk over the last 3 months since I've been here, you've probably heard from me, especially if you're within the counties that I cover. I've been working in human services since I graduated college, so not that long ago, maybe like 6 years at this point. I'm super excited for the opportunity to work here at MDHI, and I'm excited to continue working with all of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Bashira. And with that, I am going to pass it over to Matt and John to do data updates.
Wonderful. I think we called these things data stuffs. That's the technical term, I believe. It's great to see so many faces familiar and new, and there's so many people I won't even fit everybody on the screen for me anymore. So that's great to see everybody. So this is an exciting update. It's a few years in the making, but the HMIS leads across the state of Colorado have been working together to create some aggregate statewide dashboards on some metrics that can be as apples to apples across all projects entering data into HMIS as possible. So this is super exciting. We're hoping to start rolling out some of these dashboards to DPALs in the coming weeks. So this group primarily, as you're our primary points of contact. We do host these dashboards on the Tableau server that we have through our partnership with Community Solutions. So this requires a username and password in order to log in and view the aggregate breakdowns. And we're starting with DPALs, but the power of our statewide system is the ability to view information across the entire state. So if there are people at your organization that might be a better fit long term to view these things, like executive directors or decision makers, as long as your agency has an agency partnership agreement on file with CoHMIS, so with us or with one of the other COCs, we're hoping to make this level of information available to those interested folks in the coming weeks and months. So if we can go to the next slide, Stacia. So this is kind of a snapshot of some of the dashboards that we have that I'm going to pop into the server in a moment and go over. But we have kind of an overview page, which is kind of what I view as required reading to be able to make sure you're understanding what you're looking at. So, what HMIS is, the different COCs, some challenges associated with data collection in this type of work, which you all are no strangers to, certainly. Then we have metrics of people served, so people who had overlapping enrollment dates in the specified reporting period. New enrollments, so people receiving new project start dates in projects in the system. Enrollments over time, which is just that since we launched in Clarity. Breakdowns on the unique number of people receiving enrollments every month since January 1st of 2019. Shelter utilization, which is trying to reconcile activity at day shelters, entry-exit shelters, and night-by-night shelters. Housing placements for our permanent housing projects. So either that's permanent supportive housing or rapid rehousing or permanent housing other, the projects that have the housing move-in date field. And then exit outcomes. So outcomes associated kind of in line with HUD's breakdowns on was this a housed exit? Was this not a housed exit? Or was this an other outcome that doesn't really get factored into housed or not housed? So Stacia, if you don't mind, I'm going to start sharing my screen real quick before we get into the exciting data quality monitoring, because that's the other side of data here, is to make sure we can represent data of the highest quality. We need to make sure that we first have good data quality. So if you can stop sharing the screen, Stacia, I'll start sharing mine and get into Tableau server real quick. Thank you. I'm sharing my screen over here. I lost faces, but hopefully everyone can see my screen okay.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, perfect. So when you log in, this is the packaged dashboards that you'll have access to. It's called the CoHMI Statewide Breakdowns 2022. Probably take that year out as we hope to start using this more meaningfully beyond 2022. But to get into like a dashboard, this is kind of the overview that you have. So you can jump right to a specific page. I would recommend, but the first time that you pull this up when we roll it out, that you do pull up the dashboard overview and do kind of read through the words that we've tried to be very intentional with and how we're framing things, the context we're trying to layer on, all of those, especially if this is someone at your organization who's maybe not one of you, but maybe is one of your decision makers who is a step removed from the day-to-day HMIS side of things, going over data collection challenges, data timeliness, duplicate profiles, and then kind of framing what the project types are that we offer in HMIS. And then we have a button at the bottom that says, I'll probably change this at some point, but it makes me laugh. I read all your words, take me to the metrics. So this is a button that'll take you right to the first metric, which I've got pulled up on a subsequent tab. I'm not going to run through all of these today. I just kind of want to give you an idea of how things look, the functionality. I'm going to go full screen here to get a little more screen real estate. But before you get into anything, we've tried to make things pretty minimal, but we do have an instructions button. So if you click this instructions button, it's basically going to call out some activities or some actions that you can take on the dashboard, so you can navigate to specific dashboards right from within the interface up here in these tabs. You can go to the previous page, you can go to the next page, you can choose your dates that you want to analyze. Since these are statewide dashboards, and this is the Metro Denver DPAL meeting, if you wanted to update your filter for which COC is containing data, you come in and pick Metro Denver, which I'll do here. You can also pick your specific agency name if you want to see breakdowns specific to your agency. All the agency names are in here. I won't click on any right now, but everything in the dashboard would get updated to filter down to just your agency. Project category is trying to kind of frame things alongside like project types. So housing, shelter, things of that nature. You could try to view things in a more apples to apples way. And then active at the end of period is essentially a way to say, what date range did you end with? And specify if you want to see clients that are actively enrolled in their projects or not, or all of them, which is both. So, and then if you scroll down, there's context about, you can click any project type to filter, you can click any agency name to filter, you can click any demographic to filter. This is highly interactive. And we've also tried to bring in some additional context at the bottom about what each of these metrics are, what you're looking at, and some of the limitations about how this information comes together. So I'm going to pop back up and close the instructions. By default, I think the top 10 agencies in terms of people served show up, but if you scroll, every single agency is in here. You can also filter from over here, or you can apply the agency name filter up above. We have limited this. This is aggregate. There's no names, there's no social security numbers, no actual dates of birth for clients in this data set. And if the number associated with the demographic is less than 5 people, I don't know that I have anything like that applied right now. It would say less than 5 to try to be another layer of security for people who might have, a demographic in a very small, for balance of state particularly, having a value for one of these demographics in and of itself could be identifying, even though there is no identifying data in the data set. So we strip things down to say less than 5 if the value is less than 5 as an additional layer of security. So each of these dashboards are pretty consistent with the look and feel. All of the filters sections are the same. There's instructions on every page. And we'll do a deeper dive on this. I'll probably release a recording alongside this video when we roll things out to everybody to kind of go through this again. But just wanted to get this on your radar that, we know that HMIS for a long time has been a place that people enter data into and have, varying abilities to get that information out. We're trying to make this more accessible and trying to be more transparent with the data that we have in the system to both show you what it looks like right now and to help drive performance moving forward. And since we do, again, have a statewide system, there's a lot of value in presenting this to all of our partners across the state in a pretty consistent way. So stay tuned for additional communication over the coming weeks for this. We are hoping we need to stand up a quick agreement that references other documentation we have on file with our agency partnership agreements and things of that nature. It'll probably mirror our end user agreement that every HMIS user signs to get access to HMIS in general. We'll have something like that for Tableau Server. And again, as long as your agency has an agency partnership agreement on file, we should be able to accommodate the people that would like access to this tool. So I'm very excited to get this in front of other folks. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and get back into the regular presentation, but did want to go over things together with everybody at a high level since we had everybody in the room. So
Matt, we have a question from Linda.
Okay, cool.
Hey, Matt.
Hello.
On the people, was that a people served dashboard that you were showing us, the first one?
It was, yeah.
And the last filter was active at the end of the period or something. Was that a yes? Did that have a yes, no?
It had yes, no, and all. Yeah.
Okay. I was missing that part, and I was wondering how you captured all the people served if that filter was on there. That
it's a way to be able to gauge of the people that were served by your projects who doesn't have a project exit date, essentially.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. And then Midori had a question about the number of Tableau users. We have unlimited licenses that we can use for Tableau Server that Community Solutions provides to us. I think as we roll this out, I don't think it's probably feasible for every single HMIS user to get a login, but I do think that we can be flexible with the people like DPALs or decision makers at your organization, people who will be using it. I also forgot to say part of that Tableau Server end user agreement will go over expectations for if you don't use this login, we will be deactivating them after 90 days. And just also, you're going to see data about an aggregate from other agencies, not your own. We want you to be able to use this information, but if you're going to use breakdowns either across the entire state or across our COC, we would ask that you reach out to us before doing so, whether it's a public facing way you have plans to use that, or even like a grant proposal, just to make sure that what you're saying with the data is consistent with our understanding of the data as well, if that makes sense. So.
Hi, can everyone hear me? Matt, are you done?
I am. Go for it, John.
Okay, sweet. So now we're going to talk a little bit about automating some data quality monitoring. The last time that I spoke at a DPAL meeting, I did a deep dive into some of the biggest data quality errors that we see. This presentation is going to be a little shorter, but essentially right now, when we do see data quality errors in the system, we manually will reach out to people and try to resolve the issue and make sure that all the data in our system is clean, which is obviously really important if we want to gain value out of our reports and the metrics that we track. Right now, we're trying to move to a spot where these automating or these messages will go out automatically. And that's going to be helpful for quite a few reasons. One, it's going to save us quite a bit of time on our end that we can spend working on reporting or other projects that will help the COC. But it also just helps resolve these issues more quickly so that the information in the system is good to go right away. And it reinforces best practices. People are being alerted to the mistakes that they're making right when they make them or the day after. So just to be transparent, this is still in production, so it's not coming out today or tomorrow. But it will be coming out in the near future. So we want to just give people a heads up before we start sending out automated emails. And how it will work is that these data quality errors will be automatically recognized by internal reports that we have set up, and then an email will automatically go out to either the assigned staff or the user that made an update in the system, depending on the nature of the issue. And it's going to give obviously like the client and the exact issue that was made and when it was made, as well as some context as to why this is an issue, and the best ways to clean that issue up. Most of these things have been addressed in training, but mistakes happen. So there are going to be errors in the system, and we just want to try to catch as many as we can as quickly as possible. If it goes out and the issue isn't resolved, we're going to send one more follow-up email a few days after, just to say, hey, we want to make sure that this gets addressed. And then if that data quality error still isn't resolved, it would go to someone at MDHI who would then reach out personally, just so we're not leaving things that don't get resolved. So we'll get some human contact when we need it. And yeah, I'm ready for the next slide. And this is just a quick example of what something might look like, what one of these emails might look like. It would just say that it's an automated email. It's going to say exactly what the error is and why it's an issue. And then it's going to tell the user what the user can do in order to fix this error. I would like to point out that there are some things that are a little bit confusing. I think this is a good example because clients being exited to the destination other is something that trips quite a few people up, and it can happen under a few different circumstances. So we are giving common scenarios on like things that we see a lot and the way that users should address each one of those scenarios. But we also say several times that if someone doesn't really know how to fix the error, or they're confused about what the correct destination or whatever they need to do to fix the error, if they don't know exactly what they need to do, they can reach out and submit a ticket to the help desk, and we'll help guide them along. So you guys still have access to us and our support in this regard. We're not trying to like take ourselves out of this process completely. This just streamlines our ability to get these messages out and correct as many data quality errors as possible without manually reaching out to a bunch of folks, especially because most of these issues are relatively simple to fix. Like if someone was entered into a program before they were born, that's something that like I don't think we'll have a lot of questions about. But these ones that are a little more nuanced, we want to try to give people the resources to fix them themselves. But then if they can't, they're more than welcome to reach out to us. And yeah, that's my spiel.
Thank you, John. Can you confirm the automated email will be coming from a no reply? So if they have any questions on exactly how to fix the error or anything like that, they would need to create another email to the help desk. So they cannot reply to the automated email. But if it comes to the point where an MDHI staff person has to reach out, then that will come from either, a direct staff person.
Yeah, that's all true.
And then,
So
yeah.
I guess is it my turn,
Yeah.
Kyla?
Yeah, just one other suggestion, to John, if we can put in the bottom of the email, like something that says this is a no reply, just reiterate for them not to reply to the email and to direct it to the help desk.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Cool. So I'm Jazz. I'm the HMIS training and application specialist. So I'm here to talk about training. So as you guys saw in the last DPAL meeting, we have a new sign up process to sign up new end users for training. It's located on Zendesk in our help center in the MDHI DPAL zone. You have to be signed in to see the training sign up link, but it is in the DPAL zone as its own article. It will take you to a Google form. And you guys need to fill out all the required information. There is messaging at the top of that Google form that you need to be sending to your staff members. That includes the URL. So the way the system is set up, it should automatically send the staff member a username and password. However, sometimes we see that a lot of our emails will get blocked by your guys' email providers. So even if that is the case and they're not receiving an email with a username and password, they can still go to the website and use the forgot password link. All of those instructions are included in the messaging that I have at the top of that Google form for you guys so that you can send that to your staff member. And it started back in April. So this is the process that we've been using since then. It is one we'll be using going forward. So yeah, the staff member is automatically created in the LMS and it sends them an email with the username and password. Oh, I just said all this. Look at that. Actually, there is an email. There's a bullet here that says the help desk will send a follow-up email letting the staff member know that they were registered. We tried to set that up automatically, but I don't think that it works, Kyla.
Yeah, that one
So
we're still trying to work to figure it out. So right now they won't get anything. We'll still try to see if we can get that to happen.
once they are signed into the LMS, it does automatically assign courses to them that they need. The courses are set up to do all that stuff automatically. So, all right. So training is hard. The content is hard. The passing threshold is very high because it has a lot of implication on our clients, the data that your staff are collecting. So the passing threshold is very high and training is really difficult. Your staff really need to have time set aside. They need to have that expectation set in the beginning that this is not something that you can put on the side and then just kind of breeze your way through. That is not how the training is set up. It is something that takes a dedicated time to sit down and actually pay attention to. I highly advise that everyone takes notes as they're going through the training. They really do need them. As your staff go through the training, there are videos and there are knowledge checks. Once they get through the knowledge checks and videos, there is a final test. That final test, they only have 3 attempts to pass it. Once they go through that final, if they fail on the 3rd time, they then need to email the help desk and they will have to repeat the entire course. It's set up this way so that staff are not just like arbitrarily choosing answers. Most of it is multiple choice. I really need staff to have taken the time to learn the content so that they understand why the answer is what it is. It is the same 30 questions every final, and the system does grade after each attempt. So staff can see what questions they got wrong. And then they should be going back to review that content to figure out why they got the question wrong before they take the final again. After 3 attempts, if they have failed, they are going to be asked to repeat the course and they'll need to email the help desk in order to do that. Once they get through the final, they will go to the instructor-led training that we have. The instructor-led training is available to be registered for once they get through the final. We do have a cancellation policy for the instructor-led training. I ask that people cancel. If they cancel in the LMS, that's fine, or they need to email the help desk so that I can remove them. As you guys see, we have very limited spots in these classes. And in order for people to get in, I'd really love to have a full class every single week so that I can accommodate appropriately for your guys' needs. We do adjust the training schedule based on the needs that we have in the system. However, if we're not getting full classes, then I don't necessarily think that we have to add more. Like if they're not full, then we don't need more classes because then there's no one to fill those. But I'm not able to gauge those numbers without having proper registration, and people who are just no-showing, it delays their training, it delays everyone else's training. If a staff member does not cancel their training and they are marked as a no-show, the DPAL does have to reach back out to the help desk to have them added to, or have the date removed so that they can register for another date. And if they do not, we have like I guess we have technically a 3 strikes and you're out policy. So if they do not attend the training and they don't cancel, after the 3rd time, they will be waitlisted for all upcoming trainings, and the trainings tend to fill up. The training is open 15 minutes. So the Zoom meeting is available. The join button is available for for staff 15 minutes before the training, and it will be open. I will allow people in until 15 minutes after training. Will I ever consider wait lists for training? So if there's no shows, probably not. Just because there are approximately anywhere from 800 to 900 end users, active end users that we have. So the same kind of turnover that you all see at your agency, that's the turnover that I have to deal with for everywhere. And I don't have the capacity to manually manage a wait list consistently for every training every week. on top of doing all the other stuff I have to do. So unfortunately, that's not really going to be an option.
And then
If
just
you have,
yeah, just to clarify on that, and that is because the LMS that we use doesn't have an automated feature. So this would be a manual process that Jazz has to do. In the future, if we ever move to another LMS or we, continue to revamp training, that is a feature that we can look into. It's just not a feature offered in our LMS right now. So it would be completely manual. And we, as Jazz says, we just don't have the capacity to do that on a manual basis.
the vast majority of our trainings happen on Tuesday from 1 to 4. Like there's occasions that I do change the date to a Wednesday, but 1 to 4 is when training is. So if your staff, it's Tuesday and it's noon, I would advise checking, go in there and look to see if a date is available. For example, last week, by the time training started, I only had 14 people registered. So if someone had logged in, they could have taken that last spot and joined right into that class. Is there a way to let people know if slots become available? Not without manually doing that. And I can't. I do not have the capacity to go in and consistently check the registration. I mean, it can change minute by minute. People can register and unregister, register and unregister, and I do not have the capacity to go in and monitor that. Staff, however, who are at the point of registering for a date, especially if the dates that are listed are currently full, they all have the capability of seeing if the second that someone unregisters, the system will show that a new spot is available. So staff can go in and they can monitor that themselves. So this is a screenshot of the LMS. This is just kind of what your staff members can see. A couple of things that I'm going to point out. I probably should have edited this a little bit, but it's okay. So the 101 statewide is the first course that they go into. It's the first one that will be assigned. They actually will not see the remaining courses until they complete the first one, the second one, and then the third one, et cetera. So the courses are added as they complete courses. But this is what they'll see at the top here where the arrow is kind of blocking, where it says courses in progress and completed courses. These are clickable buttons, like you can click on them. So you can see the courses that you currently have in progress versus the completed courses. A lot of people email the help desk and tell me that they can't find the course. And it is quite simply that they have clicked on one of these buttons and they only see the ones that they've completed and they have not unclicked it. So these are clickable if your staff are struggling. Also, the calendar here, there's a calendar. This calendar is where it will have the information if they are registered for an instructor-led training. It will be here under their calendar, as well as the office hours that are offered on Friday. I don't know what the next slide says, but I'll talk about office hours anyway. On Fridays at 11 a.m., most Fridays at 11, it can change depending on other meetings, but it will always be updated on their calendar in the LMS. But I offer office hours from 11 to noon on Fridays. It's just a Zoom meeting that I sit in, and anyone at any point of their training can join there and ask questions of me live in person. So there is a time that sits and I put aside for people to come and ask questions that they have about training to help them through. And it doesn't matter what part of training they're in, anyone can join that. And can the DPAL see the employee's training progress? Actually, you can't. There's not really a way for me to have every single DPAL. We have very limited licenses to the LMS, so I can't have every single DPAL in the system to monitor their employees. To be honest, your best bet is to have your employee log in and look at their progress. It will show you. I don't know if there's any more slides, Stacia. Oh. Okay, HMIS training policies. So like I said, we have very limited licenses within the LMS. I will go in and I deactivate people who have not signed in. We're very generous with this 60 days, but as we get more people into the LMS and more people who need training, that window will start shrinking to being the full 60 days. Someone who is not logged in, I do go in and I deactivate them because I need to use that license for someone else. For your staff who signed up for training and they never did anything and I deactivate them, when you guys submit a new training request for someone who's already been deactivated, it will actually reactivate that account. So all of that has been automated. Yeah, we talked about all this stuff. Yeah. And then look, there's office hours. There's an office hour slide that I talked about.
Just one thing real quick before Stacia and
Oh.
Bashir take over. If Jazz, you want to talk about refresher training?
Yeah, so it is about that time of year. We have refresher training coming. It'll be available. It's required for every active end user, as it is every single year. And it'll be required to be done by October 1. There's a lot more communications that are going to come out about it, so please just check your emails. But just a forewarning, it is coming up on fall, which means it's coming up on refresher training. And that's what we have to do. Is the LMS office hours on the MDHI calendar too? No, it is not. It is only posted in the LMS. But it is posted for every single person who is in the LMS who is assigned to MDHI. It's available on their calendars. So.
And Midori, just to clarify why we don't have it posted on the MDHI calendar, these office hours are specific to training. So really the purpose is if you came to that training class on Tuesday, if you came to that training class on that Tuesday and you have some questions or need some assistance in order to pass your practical, you can go in on these on Friday and get a little bit more assistance from Jazz. So we're kind of trying to limit these office hours for that purposes, is to give some extra help for training to help individuals pass the training course.
If DPALs have questions about training, they can email the help desk. The time that I said is it's literally just an hour, and after like 11:45, I don't really allow new people in so that I can talk to the people who are there. So I really prefer that time be dedicated to the end users who are going through training. And if DPALs have questions, they can email the help desk.
It looks like we may have a question from Laura.
Yeah, thanks. Jazz, did you say that everybody should be able to see the trainings on the calendar, including, I mean, sorry, not the trainings, the office hours, including DPALs?
End users should be able to. You may not be able to, just depending on the course that I assign to you, but all of your end users can see it.
Got it. Thanks.
You may not be able to, but again, it's really because I geared it towards the people going through training.
Okay, I guess it's Station I's turn. We'll get into the resources for DPALs. So to start, Station and I have been piloting a new way to assist you all. So we're going to be dividing and conquering all the counties in the metro. I'll be covering Adams, Arapahoe, including the city of Aurora, Broomfield, and Boulder. And then Stacia will be the contact for Denver, Douglas, and Jefferson County. Next, we want to remind you all to regularly check the DPAL zone. As Jazz already said, that's the way to sign up for training. There's lots of information on there. We try our hardest, our absolute best to make sure the DPAL zone stays up to date. So if you ever have any questions or need further information about something as a DPAL, then I would just try to utilize that space. Next. We also want to make sure that we have up-to-date we also want to make sure that we have up-to-date DPAL agreements for all of our agencies. As the positions, I know that there's always turnover within the organization. So like as things change, we want to make sure that those DPALs stay up to date. We utilize our DPALs in many ways. So keeping those DPAL agreements up to date is the best way for us to know who to contact at each agency. And the DPAL agreement can be found in the DPAL zone. Also, some of you might have gotten emails from me already about updating your DPALs or getting a new APA. So if I have emailed you, just please make sure to get that form to me at your earliest convenience.
I'm sorry, I thought you were going to do the next one. No, I can. Do you want me to?
Oh yeah, go ahead, Stacia. Sorry.
Okay. So we sent out some agency check-in forms for those of you who have been with us for a while. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Stacia, the partner agency specialist. Hello. So anyway, so those of you who have been with us for a while probably remember receiving a form like this last year. So we're doing the same again this year. I see someone, was that Jody? Did you not receive the form? You're muted if you're
I
talking.
know. I'll check again to see whether or not I received it. And if I didn't, I'll let you know.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we have a link for the form here. And Jody, we can also check our records to see if we have one from you. So we did have a due date of August 15th. So if it's possible to submit that form to us before then, that's great. If we happen to miss sending you this form, we'll definitely give you some extra time to fill it out. It's not very long or complicated, but if you need some extra time, just let us know. All right, so next, I'm just going to talk just very briefly about a function in Clarity that nobody uses, which is called the reservations function. So basically, it gives you the opportunity to set up bed nights for someone, or like like if you can, what am I trying to say? I'm losing my words here. You can reserve a bed for someone, or a slot, or a parking space, whatever it might be, for a certain amount of nights. And then you can also log in when that person was there. So if you reserve a slot for them for 3 nights and the person was there the first night, you can go into HMIS and click that they were present. If they were not present the second night, you can click that they were not present. And if they happen to be present again on the third night, you can click present again. So this is something I'm going to need to revisit. Just playing around with it in the training site. And then after I do that, I will submit or make a video and put that up on the DPAL zone. Because it might be helpful to some of you guys, but I just want to make sure I have a clear understanding how it works before I make a video to put out for you all. All right, and the last thing I have to say, we've been actually getting an influx of tickets on how to reopen a client's enrollment in HMIS. It's really easy. So if you go to that person's program and open that up and then go to the exit screen at the very bottom, kind of like in the right of the program or the exit screen, you'll see this little option. So all you do is click on that, and then it'll bring up like another small window that says clear client exit data. And there's a toggle before that. So you just want to toggle that on, save it. And then that removes the exit date, but all the information is still there. So I mean, it's good for, we've had people say, I need to add more services, but they're exited, or we put in the wrong whatever. So you can just reopen the program, fix whatever you need to fix, and then you just want to make sure that you exit the client again with the previous exit date. So any questions on the words that Bashira and I have spoken?
Hey, Stasia, this is
Yeah.
not a question. This is Matt from your team. But I think there's a way to also, like when that button that says clear client exit data, you can reopen the enrollment without having to clear the exit data too. So if you're just like fixing something, you don't have to wipe the exit data to reopen the enrollment. It's kind of dependent on what your use case is. So if you're just adding services or fixing something that you want to fix, you don't have to clear the data to do that. You can like keep all the data in there and just reopen the enrollment temporarily and then close it again. So it'll depend on the use case there, but I think there is a distinction for that functionality to flag for everybody.
Cool.
Cool. And then
I think Matt, yeah, okay.
I opened my mouth, so that was just the universe getting ready for me to say more words at everybody. I have a quick update to share with everybody since we're all here together today about our coordinated entry team and program One Home. We were awarded a coordinated entry grant from HUD, which is great news, as it'll provide additional dollars to help serve folks in the community through our coordinated entry processes. So we have some, with HUD dollars come HUD reporting expectations, right? So we have some back-end changes that we're making right now in preparation of this grant becoming effective on September 1st of this year. Most of these changes impact our team and kind of some back-end infrastructure, not necessarily providers. There will be additional communication over the coming weeks directly from the One Home team about these updates. So keep an eye out for those, but just wanted to kind of flag at a high level. This is a good thing. We're all very excited. We now have had dollars to help support the coordinated entry processes and people going through coordinated entry in our community. So stay tuned for those additional communications, but they are, again, more for our team than for any of you. So.
Well, thank you all. Now is a time for any questions you guys may have for us, or if you have anything that you may want to troubleshoot with other agency staff. This is really, we schedule these meetings for an hour and a half because we never know. We aim to have them in an hour. So we actually got this one done in 45 minutes. But here's just the time. So if you don't have anything, feel free to log off. But this is just the time that we will stay on for you all to answer, like I said, to ask us any questions or if there's anything that you need help with. And if you do decide to hop off, thank you guys very much for joining. We did record this, so we will be posting this on the DPAL zone for anybody if you want to go back and rewatch, or if there's anybody, and yes, we will post the slides as well. So we'll have all the materials up on the DPAL zone for anybody that may have missed it, or if you need to rewatch anything. And then expect to have another meeting, in probably about 3 months at the beginning of the fall season. And then if we have any communications in between then, you can either see them in the DPAL zone as, updates, or we will be sending email updates as well. So, that's important to make sure that we have the right contact information so we get everything out. So thank you guys.
I have a question if no one else is going to ask something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. And Jazz, I don't know who's answering my questions when I write in, so Jazz might be wanting to kill me for this question, but that's okay. I'm going to risk it anyways. When I go to the Zendesk, so if I am the DPAL holder, I think I am, my boss Rupa left. I want to register someone for the coordinated entry training. So if I go to the Zendesk and I go into the MDHI DPAL zone, is that correct?
Yeah, so I would not, if it's just coordinated entry, they already have login credentials, then you can just email the help desk.
Okay.
That's a little bit of a different process just because I have everything automated, but if they are already in the system, then I just need to add it to them. So if it's just coordinated entry and they already have one like login credentials, just email the help desk and I'll deal with it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That was my question.
Jessica, if her account is inactive, that's because she is not logged in. So you need to go through the training link and add her, sign her up.
So
I sent the
Sorry, the other Jessica.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I sent the training link form several months ago, and I talked with Stacia and Bashira about it at my monitoring. So I sent in the form. They saw that it had been received. And so I guess do I need to resend that form since it's been so long?
Who's the user?
It's for Desra McDonald. She's never been trained.
So her account was created on October 25th and she never logged in. So it was deactivated. So you'll need to go in and redo it because that was it was 10 months ago. So it'll we deactivate people who haven't logged in.
Sure.
Or haven't accessed, so.
Into the training site, because my understanding, I wasn't DPAL then. I have only been DPAL since Jean left. So I want to say it was like May-ish that I sent in the training request form. So do I need to resend that?
Let me check the sign up because if she already had an account, it would automatically reactivate it and it hasn't. Or if it, well, I guess I could check if it did.
I don't think that she told me she's never been trained, so.
She's never logged in, so she definitely has never been trained.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was she was updated and it was like reactivated in May, and then she never logged in, so she got deactivated again.
Okay, I think maybe what you just said in this training, that MHP is maybe blocking it and she never got the link. So I'll go in, I'll refill it out, and then she needs to watch for the link.
Yeah, and if she doesn't get the username and password because it's being blocked, she can just go to the website and use the forgot password.
Okay, do the same thing she just tried this morning, and then it told her that she was.
Well, after you submit the request, it will reactivate the account. So then
Yep.
she can go and try to do the reset password and her account should be active. It takes about an hour, I think, for like new staff, probably not old staff because I haven't tried it with the old ones who already were there. But I know for newer staff, once you sign them up and their account is created, it takes about an hour for the first course to be assigned.
Okay.
But yeah, she should
Okay.
be, once you put it in, she should be able, it will reactivate.
Sounds good. We'll give it a try. Thank you very much.
And Laura, your hand's up, but I don't know if that's a new question or if that's from before.
No, it's a new question.
Okay, go ahead.
This one's also for Jazz. So real life use case, literally during this meeting, a new staff member emailed me and shared a screenshot of her LMS. And so she's showing me the tests tab. And
Who is it?
Joy Duckery, Duckery. So she didn't pass the final test. Did you say she can click on the not passed, or does she just go back to the dashboard to retake?
No, she's got it. So I will just show you. All right, so let's see here. I will share my screen. Okay, so here, before they begin the final, this is what it says. You are about to take the HMIS final exam. You have 3 attempts to pass this exam. After each attempt, the system will review the questions indicating which ones you have correct and which ones are incorrect. The correct/incorrect indication on a graded test is listed above the question, not below. You should review the sections that you got incorrect before attempting the test again. If you fail all 3 attempts, you will need to repeat the entire course. For questions, please email the help desk. So then they go and they begin the final. So now when they don't get a passing grade, they will then have to go and email the help desk to get added to like the retake course.
They need to email, or I do as the DPAL?
They can email. The only time that you need to send in is when your staff no shows to an instructor led.
Okay.
Outside of that, your staff can email the help desk and can do all the things that they need to do.
All right, thank you.
Other questions? Again, we'll stay on for the full hour. So, and then if something happens to come up after the fact, as normal, just go ahead and feel free to send in your ticket to the HMIS help desk and we will be able to answer you through that process as well.
Hi, this is Shelley Tate with JFS. I had missed the first 15 minutes of the meeting. I was having some computer issues. I apologize. Are you going to post this under the DPAL zone, or are you going to send out the recording? I want to make sure I didn't miss anything important.
Yeah, we'll post it under the DPAL zone with the slides and the recording.
Okay, great, wonderful. And I have one other weird, I don't know if it's weird. On the HMIS consent, forever we've been saying, we just say it's a paper, but then put the note that it's an electronic copy. We're still doing that. Is that correct? I've had staff people try to do the opposite and I'm going, oh, I don't know if that's ever changed. I haven't ever seen anything. So Do you know what I'm talking about when you do very first put in the profile information and the HMIS consent? I see Matt shaking his head.
Yeah. I think like we don't necessarily care what type of consent it is as long as you're tracking that they have consent on file with you. So if you have it, if you have a paper form that's in your office, you can like pick that option and specify in that note. That there is the digital e-signature option as well, where you can have them sign like, you know, in the Clarity interface with a mouse or trackpad. I think like the method that you choose to get consent, whether it's verbal or written, and how you indicate that in the system, there's like flexibility for how that works, unless Kyla or Jazz or anybody else on my team has more language to share about that.
I mean, that's pretty much it. Just indicating what type of ROI you have. All three
Mhm.
forms are acceptable: verbal, electronic, and like a paper form. If you have the paper form, just indicate that.
Does that make sense, Shelley, or did I miss the mark?
No,
Okay.
I just had a couple case managers asking why we were doing it the way we were, and
Mhm.
I told them, and I wanted to make sure that was actually still correct because it's been a few years. So thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
verbal and implied are marked the same in the
Mhm.
system, but I mean, it's really the way that it always kind of has been. So
I thought verbal wasn't actually really acceptable. I mean, at least for our grants, and maybe I could be wrong and I made that up in my head.
not for coordinated entry. So we really don't, you need to have paper at some point for coordinated entry, but
Mhm.
for your own individual programs, verbal is, it depends on what you sign on your APA, I guess, because that's really where you indicated what type of consent you'd be collecting.
Mhm. Or if
But
you
if it's coordinated entry, then it does need to be written.
Oh, so since for sorry, the EFSP, you know, we're not actually entering them into a program. We're just entering the services, but I've always made them get the actual written consent for that. But we could do a verbal if needed.
So ROIs are not really about the program so much. It is the fact that the profile is being created and whether that is going to be shared with other agencies or whether that is private to your agency. It's the same as if you have a Facebook page that is open or is private. Your Instagram is open, it's private. Like that's really what the ROI is for. So it doesn't matter about it being them being enrolled in a program or not. It's really just, does this client consent to this profile being shared to other agencies, or does it need to remain private to yours?
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, we've talked about that. And I'm just like, just get it. I don't care. I'd rather have it than not have it.
Yeah, that's primarily heads take too. Like it's not like they specify that every piece of consent must be written or like a signed document, but you must obtain consent of some kind with the person you're serving because their client profile. But at a high level, right? All profiles are shared across the entire state, not just our COC. As will the high level record of like they connected with your program or received services. So it's their profile. It's all the information that's being entered into HMIS truly about them. Did they indicate yes or no that they're okay with sharing that information? That's the requirement, whether it's written, verbal, or inferred if you're in a shelter or something like that. I also think that coordinated entry, Jazz, I might be out of the loop just coming back to this work. I think with COVID, they might have made that more flexible for coordinated entry where verbal was okay in the age of COVID. Previously it was written, I think, but I think there might be more flexibility.
There
now.
is, so that with coordinated entry, my understanding is that if you collect verbal because of COVID, that's fine, but like
Mhm.
at some point they are asking that you update that to written. And that was
Okay.
only like if you had to conduct something over the phone, then you can get the ROI, but I mean, written is the gold standard, so.
If we
Oh.
have written ROIs, is there some place we should be sending them or should we just be keeping them? Like, I don't know of a place where they're scanned in or anything. Like back in the day, we used to send the whole packet to you all. Is that something we're still doing? No?
You don't have to do that. Like you can upload the document into the system if you'd like, but this is really like for your record keeping. If we were to audit you or you got audited by someone and you said you had consents for all these people and you say you're storing them in a specific place, this is like that note field in the system is more for you to know where you have that documentation than for us, I would say, unless we're doing like the some of the meetings that Stasia and Bashir are involved in to touch base with agencies about how things are going. Are you getting consent? We're also going to be sending reports out soon about these clients are working with you and don't have any ROIs on file as well. So we're trying, it's more like, do you have this in place with this person, more so than we need you to send us anything, documenting that. You should have that documented if you're saying you have it documented, but that's kind of agency record keeping and an audit trail you should be aware of on your end.
Perfect, thank you.
Amy, go ahead.
Hi, did you say Amy?
Yes.
Okay, I had to step out for just 1 minute, so hopefully this question has not already been asked. It goes back to our LMS login if we're inactive. Is there any reason, if we've already passed all the training and are already done everything on that, that we need to keep that active? Because mine's inactive at this point.
Nope.
No? Okay,
Nope.
perfect. Thank you.
I do actually go through as well, and I deactivate people who have completed the training that we have available at this time. So.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Bearing any last minute questions, given we're at the hour, I will thank you all again for those that stayed and appreciate all the support you guys provide. And again, just email in if you have any questions or stay tuned to the DPAL zone for any updates. Thank you all.